What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my fellas, Percy, Lavar, what up?
What's
Going
happening?
on.
So we've got an article courtesy of ESPN.com which says WBC expels boxing star Ryan Garcia after racial slurs. The article goes on to say the WBC has expelled boxing star Ryan Garcia from any activity with the organization after he repeatedly used racial slurs against black people and disparaged Muslims in comments live streamed on social media. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman announced the penalty Thursday on the social media platform X. We reject any form of discrimination, Suleiman wrote. I fear for Ryan's well-being as he has declined multiple attempts for our help with mental health and substance abuse. It wasn't immediately clear what sanctions the WBC would take against Ryan, who was serving a one-year suspension from the New York State Athletic Commission after a positive test for the performance-enhancing drug Ostarine. That suspension is retroactive to Garcia's April 20th decision victory over Devin Haney, which was overturned to a no contest. Garcia posted an apology of sorts on X. I was trolling. I want all the killing to stop, Garcia wrote. I love everyone. Sorry if I offended you. Oscar De La Hoya, who promotes Garcia, denounced Garcia's comments in a social media post on Friday. There is no room for hate or intolerance at my company, period. I condemn Ryan's words in the strongest terms possible, the statement said. I see that he has apologized, and that is a start, but it is only a start to earn back the trust and respect of those of us who have continued to support him. We hope Ryan will use the time he has away from the sport to work through the issues he has publicly discussed. We stand ready to help in whatever we can. It has been a tumultuous year for Garcia, age 25, who was arrested on felony vandalism charges last month after a Beverly Hills hotel accused him of causing an estimated $15,000 in damage. In a statement released after the WBC announced his penalty, Garcia's family addressed his recent troubling behavior as well as his social media remarks, stating that they do not align with his or our family's true character or beliefs. Our family unequivocally does not support any statements Garcia has made regarding race or religion. These do not reflect who Ryan truly is and how he was raised. The family statement read, those who know Ryan can attest to this fact. Ryan has been open about his ongoing struggle with mental health over the years, and as a family, we are committed to ensuring and encouraging that he receives the necessary help to navigate this very challenging time and address both his immediate and long-term well-being. Now, the only reason why I knew about this whole situation in general, in detail, is because of Lavar. So, first and foremost, Lavar, I want to get your opinion on this whole entire thing, and then Percy, I want to get yours, and then I'm just gonna respond and give mine after y'all.
So first things first, I want to say that any type of discrimination, prejudice, racism, I personally obviously don't condole it. I think that while the fighter can be separated from the person outside of the ring, they still should be held accountable for the things that they do, even if they are a good fighter. You should always be held accountable for things like that. And Ryan Garcia is no exception. He said on, I believe it was his Twitter. I'm not sure if he said this stuff on Instagram as well, but I know it was like in a Twitter space. He said F all N words. He said that that I think he also said F all Muslims. Um, he said he's anti-black. He is the KKK, and he also said
Wow.
that George
Right.
Floyd should like they should bring him back to life so he could kill the N word again. That's basically what Ryan
Oh,
Garcia was saying. And
oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, no, continue.
yeah, all that to say, I definitely agree with the WBC going ahead and expelling him. I don't think that anyone should be saying racist remarks, especially not to that level. Like he knew that he had all the eyes on him. He knew that he had all the attention, and to go ahead and say something like that, it shows the type of person that he is. Even if I guess you can say the true Ryan Garcia fanboys believe deep down inside that he isn't racist or that he's just doing this to be edgy and trolly. At the end of the day, those words came out of his mouth, and he knew the type of platform he had when using these words. He knew the history of the things he said, and he still didn't care. So he said it. And regardless of how I think about Ryan Garcia in the ring, outside of the ring, I've pretty much lost all respect that I did have for him.
Mm-hmm. Got
Yeah,
it. Percy, yeah.
yeah,
What are your thoughts, man?
crazy. Yeah. Another tweet he said because I had to pull him out. I couldn't find him, but then he also said "f all n words" and "f all Muslims." Look, I say this. Um, Someone made a good point about this, and this is not any in defense against Ryan Garcia, but I don't know if it was a box or MMA fight. I can't remember, but they said it's ironic that these sports will tolerate drug dealers, domestic violence abusers, women abusers, children abusers, but they'll draw the line at some comments that Ryan Garcia made. I definitely agree with Lavar. I think that some of these comments I didn't know the context of them. I know lately on Twitter he's been, X, formerly Twitter, I should say, he's been saying some outrageous things, and something tells me something's going on with this young man that he needs help. And I think, this goes back to one of the quick takes we did earlier, Dimitri. I think it was Mike White talking about, when you have a circle of people who are just a bunch of yes men, this is what happens. And I think what happened with Ryan Garcia was there was a lot of people around him who wasn't checking his behavior. Like his family and his friends and the people who they came out with a statement talking about, yeah, he said things that don't align with, our values. But he's been doing this type of rhetoric for a couple months now. This not just out of the blue. So where were y'all when he started doing this? Like y'all should have checked him way before it got to this point. And you know what? Like Lavar said, there's consequences to your actions. When you go on, public forums like this and you spouting tirades and racial things like this, you're bound to catch some flack. And I think that, this is a wake-up call of Ryan, like, hey, yo, your career's gonna be over. You're gonna be working at McDonald's soon, because truth be told, unless he goes into MMA or he goes to another governing body, maybe y'all can explain the governing, the boxing government, whatever it is, body. But I don't know what he's gonna do for work, and it's not like he got Floyd Mayweather money. So, but yeah, I would say Ryan deserved the consequences he got, but at the same time, we also see people who are always getting arrested for DUIs, beating up women, and all types of crimes, and they don't get in trouble. So that's the only thing. So when I heard that point, I was like, you know what? That is a good point. That yeah, I'll tolerate these type of behaviors, but a dude that Ryan, I feel like a lot of times is trolling, but he might be serious as well. Yeah, draw the line on that. So I think this is a wake up call to the what is the
WBC, yeah, the World Boxing Council.
They need if they're gonna do this for Ryan, they need to going forward. They need to help. They got to keep that same energy for other fighters who are doing outrageously behavior, and that's the problem. I think with Ryan is what he did was wrong, but people are seeing how he's getting treated with other, compared to other boxers. Like, you could beat up your whole girlfriend sitting in the hospital, but you get a championship fight. Like,
right.
So, again, this is not an excuse to him. This dude needs some help, and I think it's about time that he got the help. He's 25, but he also got kids. He don't got the same. He can't be out here making these mistakes. You got a family to feed, and little kids that you got to watch over. So,
all right, where do I even start? Because anybody that has watched or listened to a quick take of ours where we talked about Ryan Garcia, you already know how I feel. But for the ones that don't, I don't fucking like Ryan Garcia, and I honestly I never did. Okay, I've always respected Ryan from two aspects. I always respected him as a fighter, and I respected him as somebody that made a success out of himself from his passions and doing what he loves to do. But after a while, it's like slowly but surely I've just lost any kind of ounce of respect for this fucking guy. All right. Now, for one, I'm not surprised by these fucking antics. And I think people should stop calling somebody just being a pure asshole a mental health issue. Not everything is mental health. So you know what I'm saying? Like this motherfucker can't grab a gun and shoot somebody or assault somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, we know Ryan is going through mental health. Like that's just an alibi. The dude is racist. You know what I'm saying? So when people you know, when a non-black person uses the N-word with the hard ER at the end, what does that say about how they feel about black people? And then I also saw that in the midst of all of that, I think he posted a picture with like this dark-skinned, you know, black model. So what does that tell you? In the middle of everything that he was saying. So he was saying whatever it is that he was saying, and then using that picture of a black woman that was probably fucking, you know, as some sort of alibi for his, you know, like love of black people at the same fucking time. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's like people say, oh yeah, I'm not racist, I have black friends. That's basically the same shit. So it's about time the WBC finally pulled the plug on this dude, you know, because they fucking, you know, banned him from any activity with the WBC indefinitely. You know, so that's one. Two, I think at the end of the day, you know, Ryan Garcia really just needs to fucking like stop. You know, at what point does this shit get old? I honestly think like really he might be like a Ryan Garcia clone, and then this nigga's just constantly like malfunctioning and buffering. So it's like they keep sticking him in the chair to do MK Ultra and all that shit, but then it just wears off like a week later and he keeps on bugging out and wilding out all the fucking time. It's like erratic behavior. I don't have any sympathy for this dude because it's like, one, you took like a little Instagram video with damn near, you know, the woman of my motherfucking dreams and shit like that. You know what I mean? And then after that, you took drugs against Devin Haney, Osterine, and all types of other shit. And then instead of being like genuinely apologetic about it, what has he done since then? He says, "Oh, gee, I love steroids. You know, I was taking ashwagandha and I was doing this, I was doing that." This dude's a fucking circus clown. Like, this is not a guy that anyone should really take serious at all. But I think what we should take serious is his consistency of behavior. That's what we should take seriously now. So it's like, okay, this dude has been acting this way for a pretty long time now. So we have to really just take into account that this isn't a mental health issue. This is actually who he is because he's got a track record. If you got what I'm saying, it's kind of set in stone. It's established now. You know, that's my issue with Ryan Garcia. And I feel like boxing doesn't have a place for a guy like that anymore. Because I looked at it like, you know what? I said, if his mentality is, I'm going to leverage, you know, my fame to make the biggest fights happen, then we as boxing fans, we benefit from that. Because when he fought Tank last year, you know, that was good for the sport. Because people, other fighters and promoters, they saw how much money there is in taking the two biggest guys and putting them together. You get what I'm saying? So that's when we got Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. That's when we got Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez. That's when we got Charlo versus Canelo, because people were using that fight, truth be told, as a point of reference. Because we all, you know what I'm saying? It's like a situation where when big fights happens, everybody eats, including the fans. So even though I never really liked Ryan, I always respected that because that's what he said. But it's like, since then, he's just constantly done dumb shit. So what am I supposed to say at this point? That's why I literally saw it. It really looked like the Squidward meme where Squidward is tanning and then he looks away and then he looks right back at whatever it is he was looking at. Like, I just really don't care because this is what I've come to expect from him at this point now. You know, what is he going to do now? I'm like, you banned for a year. So how are you going to keep your name relevant? By doing dumb shit like this. This is purposeful. This is not an accident. This is not a mental health, you know, substance, you know, abuse thing. And I don't know who said, I don't know if it was you, Lavar, but somebody was saying, or I saw, they were like, yo, if a black person said all of this shit, they would have gotten this type of backlash and then some. So let's say, you know, give me somebody I guess Tank. Let's say if Tank were to sit there and say a whole bunch of racial slurs about white people, about Spanish people, Asians, whatever. Do you think he would get a fight like in the next couple of years? No, nobody would get behind this dude. So Ryan, in essence, yeah, he might not be a white boy, but he does have the complexion for protection.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And part of the problem too, and I'm going through his Instagram, you know, looking at the comments, and you got a bunch of black, you know, people with check marks talking about, you know, you still solid with me, homie, and you know, saying the N-word to him and all that. And this is, you know, this goes back to something that you know, I said earlier. We live in a society now where everybody's looking for that viral moment, that clickbait. And this is not boxing related, but there was this white TikTok creator named Lily Gaddis or something. and she went viral because she was using the N-word during a cooking video, and she blew up. She got endorsements. People was talking about her, and this is what happens when you live in an era, because Ryan is 25, so he's on social media. He sees the reactions that people are getting from making these clickbait type of posts and stuff, and people are still rocking with him. So I think that's part of the problem too, is that we're talking about it, right? Like, he needs consequences, but then when you go in his comments, you got people supporting him still. So it's like, why would he need to stop if most of his fan base is still going to support him anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Right. But one thing that really made me want to talk about this is, Lavar, when you said it wasn't fair because Devin Haney made racist comments before. So I want you to expound on that before I actually respond. So I want you to repeat that for us and the listeners.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and piggyback off of that. When it comes to Devin Haney, I believe it was Anthony Derell said the similar comment, saying that he would never lose to a white boy. And while I'm not going to sit here and obviously say that they were on the same level, obviously it's different between saying you were not lose to someone of a certain race and then going ahead and saying that you're part of KKK, F all N words and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the WBC themselves said that they don't support any form of discrimination. What Devin Haney and Anthony Derell did was discrimination, and they they flat out just did not do anything. Like, even a warning, anything like that, blatantly being discriminatory in front of a whole bunch of people, and there's no repercussions. But then Ryan Garcia, because I guess his platform and because they want to save face, make sure that their organization stays in contact, because we have to keep in mind the WBC is the same organization that every time a fighter holds one of their belts, they're getting a percentage of cut from that fighter's belt. And I'm pretty sure, I'm more than sure that they have a say so when it comes to like referees and judges, making sure that certain fighters keep certain belts, or that certain fighters get belts, like Teofimo versus George Gambosis, for example, things like that. I feel like at the end of the day, the WBC just has to stay consistent. If they don't stay consistent, how can I take their authority seriously? Like, we banned Ryan Garcia, which I 100% agree with, but we don't ban. I mean, not ban, but we don't warn. We don't say anything about Devin Haney. We don't say anything about Anthony Derell. And they aren't the only people who have done crazy things. Mayweather has done crazy things. He said that Pacquiao, he's going to make Pacquiao make him sushi and stuff like that. Clearly a racist comment. And I mean, he's one of the biggest fighters. He has a huge platform, bigger than Ryan Garcia. So what's this? So why not do anything to Mayweather? I just don't understand. Well, but yeah, that's basically.
Yeah,
I'll say, Dimitri, let me just say this real quick.
Go ahead.
To time in Lavar said, I'll agree with 100% what he said. And I'll just use this quick example, right? Because to the casual, to the hardcore boxers, you might know, the Charlo brothers and et cetera, et cetera. But for someone like me who don't watch boxing, right, I know who Ryan Garcia is, and I think he appeals to a much bigger audience than maybe the Charlo brothers, right? And I know Ryan Garcia, but this is exactly the same thing we were talking about the quick take with Will Smith, right? He's been one of the biggest names in the industry, and as soon as he made one mistake, what they did, we all knew he was like that. He's a thug, he's a menace. All of these racists, they were saying polite racist things about Will Smith because he made one mishap. Now, again, I'm not saying Ryan Garcia is the angel of God here, but I do think that, like Lavar said, they're taking someone that has a wide range of appeal to, across not just boxing. A lot of people follow Ryan for, all types of reasons, but they're using him as a scapegoat, because why are all these other boxers, like I said, doing all these outrageously crazy things and they're not getting consequences? It's because they're trying to use him as a scapegoat. But like Lavar said, if they don't keep the same energy for everybody, then this is why so many people are like, it don't mean nothing. Because I guarantee you, when the suspension's over, don't be surprised if you see him box in 2025.
Well, here's my thing, and again, I responded in the DMs, when I said it. I said, there's no comparison to me saying that, I wouldn't lose to a white boy. I would never lose to a white boy. And this dude, Ryan Garcia, saying all that shit that he was saying. There's literally no comparison. Do I think that to say that I would not lose to a white boy is racist? No. Doesn't make me sexist if I said that. I mean, I don't know if it sounds bad or if it sounds that bad, but I'm just like, do I hate women if I say, oh, I would never lose to a girl in a video game? That doesn't mean I hate women. That just means I feel like I would never lose to a woman in a video game. I'm not saying that could never happen, but I'm just making a point. It's levels to racism or discrimination. And Anthony Derell saying that was it wasn't discrimination. It was really just disrespect. That was just saying that you're not good enough to beat me because you're a white boy. That doesn't reflect Anthony Derell or Devin Haney's feelings towards white people, because Devin Haney and Eddie Hearn are cool. So, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that, this situation really warrants a comparison, because if we want to keep it a buck, black people aren't really the ones that are discriminating, against other people in boxing. Because Percy mentioned the Charlo brothers. When Jamal was, and I don't know if Lavar, you caught this, but when Jamal was fighting Jose Benavidez Jr. last year in November, during the fucking the press conference on Zoom, Jose was making racist comments towards Jamal. No one said anything to him, and that's a fact. It was like, oh yeah, your dirty ass nappy hair. This nigga said that shit. And what do you think he meant by that? That's what he said. Multiple times. He said that like 3 times. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a WBC sanctioned fight. I mean, it was at a catchweight, obviously, because, Charlo, missed weight. But the WBC, if I'm not mistaken, they had their hands on that because they've been the ones that have been supporting Jamal for his legitimate mental health issues that he's blatantly going through. Because we know Jamal doesn't really act like that, the way that he's been acting, I would say, the last, year and a half. And then he's actually been going through, personal issues. You know what I'm saying? There's receipts for that. What is Ryan going through that we could actually see, like, oh, damn, you know what? He's actually going through it, other than him being an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jamal had his kids taken away from him. He was having legal issues with his then girlfriend, who he's not even with now, last I checked. You know what I'm saying? So we could actually see there's a paper trail to Jamal Charlo's issues. Ryan Garcia doesn't have that, other than him just choosing to act out and saying, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's because I've been going through it lately. So in reality, we can't just say, oh, well, look at all these black people that have done, fucked up things. But I'm like, yo, but like, again, little do you guys know, I'm not saying y'all specifically, but just in general, that black people, are under attack too. So yes, I do agree with you guys in a sense that, like, if you're going to hold one person accountable, then make sure it's the same way all across the board. But we got to just keep in mind that black people have niggas saying shit to them too, And again, no one really said anything about Jose Benavidez Jr. being blatantly racist, towards Jamal for being dark-skinned and having quote-unquote nappy hair like he said. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that part about essentially in regards to the difference in between the severity. I think that Devin Haney and Anthony Derell, I don't think their remarks were on the same level. I truly agree with that.
No.
I just think that because the WBCs, their premise was that any sort of discrimination would essentially not be tolerated. And I think that this is discrimination based on the fact that Haney and Anthony Derell were attacking them based on the color of their skin and based on what they think they can do because of their skin color. Because at the end of the day, when we think about whether or not it's discriminatory, we have to think about what are the intentions behind saying that. What is Haney's intention behind saying?
It's just like, to me, I just think it's just an insult. It is disrespectful. I'm not gonna say it's not disrespectful. It is disrespectful. I mean, I'm not white, so I don't know what it's like, how I would feel if somebody were to be like, oh yeah, white boy, whatever. But I'm pretty sure it would be the same thing if somebody was like, yo, that black boy or some shit like that. Like, I get it.
Yeah,
but it's not the same thing as literally going on a legitimate racist tirade. Like, that's just something to just instigate more conflict. And then, I mean, look what happened anyway. It didn't amount to much because Anthony Derell got his ass whooped. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't think too many people are going to be saying that after the fact. You know, I'm not. You get what I'm saying? Because, yo, it's like you never know. Like I said, everybody has some shit to say, or everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So, again, like that's not really an insult that I think any real boxer is going to want to use moving forward, seeing as to what happened to Anthony Derell. You know, but
Yeah.
again, like I said, ultimately, I think we're all on the same page in the sense that the WBC and all the other sanctioning bodies, they really need to keep that same energy and then have the same watchful eye on all fighters as it relates to what they say. But again, the only one who's really going that hard is Ryan. That's the thing. You don't see outside of a press conference where both fighters are cutting weight, angry at the other fucking guy. You know what I'm saying? Of course, like they're gonna say shit like that. But this dude, it's not like he's got a fight coming up. He's just sitting at home on Twitter saying, you know what I'm saying, fucked up shit about black people.
In regards to wrap up the Devin Haney situation with Anthony Derell, while I do believe that I'm not going to go ahead and say that either one of them are racist, because I believe that you can say something racist, you can have a racist action without truly being racist deep down inside. But I also think, well, when it comes to being racist, it's not just about being hateful, it's just about discrimination and prejudice in general. And that was blatant discrimination and prejudice for Devin Haney and Anthony Derell. And I
Who
think
did
they should
Devin
have
say that
been.
to?
He said that to Lomachenko.
Oh, I mean, I figured if he would say that to anybody, he would say that to Cambosos. But yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think that in regards to Anthony Derell specifically, I like you said, he did go out in a very funny way. But I just think overall, when it comes to determining whether or not they actually feel that way towards white people, I'll probably say no. I'll probably say no, but also it's just something that can't be said. It's basically just a stereotype at that point. And I understand we could justify like it's the heat of the moment, but I just think deep down inside, if you're saying something like that, it's either one, because you really don't think you could lose to someone based on their skin color, or two, you're going to be embarrassed if you lose to someone of that skin color, which both of those are racist. So
Yeah, I think it's like a racial comment. I think there's a difference between a racial comment and a racist comment. And maybe that doesn't make sense, but in my head, the way that I just said that and how it popped in my head in the first place, I think that makes sense to me, because I don't believe that Devin Haney hates white people. I don't believe that Anthony Derell hates white people, or either of them have any, you know, like,
yeah,
because you got to keep in mind, like, you know, the definition of racism, you know, or being racist. That means you have like a strong, you know, distaste or hatred for a particular group of people. I don't think them saying, yo, I would never lose to a white boy conveys those types of feelings. Yet on the flip side, Ryan Garcia, on the other hand, that conveys a strong distaste and hatred for a particular group of people. And he wasn't shy about who he was talking about either. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's almost kind of like whataboutism. Like, okay, instead of us really holding this guy accountable for the things that he's doing, you know, people will say, well, what about this dude? And it's distracting from the fact of what this guy was saying. That's what I mean.
yeah,
And again, his behavior is very consistent and erratic. Like, for instance, Justin Bieber, who, again, me personally, like, I still think to this day that he has, you know, like an ulterior racist feeling against black people. Why? Because I don't know if y'all remember, but many years ago, he was
yeah, he
like,
said it.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. He was like, oh, what does a chainsaw say to a black person or some shit like that? And he was like, run, nigger, 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 nigger. That's what he said.
Yep, he
That's what he
said that.
said. So it's just like, yo, these dudes are going to come out and actually say how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Like I said in the video, I said, people are going to show you how they feel subconsciously. Like, and you're just going to know off rip. Like some people, they can't keep a lid on it too long. So it's like, if you give somebody a microphone long enough, they're going to say how they really feel at some fucking point. And Ryan Garcia is one of them. He followed that same tradition. You gave him a big ass microphone. People are listening to him, and he just said how he really felt. And in his family and Oscar De La Hoya, they're trying to clean it up. Like, oh, he doesn't mean it. That's not, a good reflection of our family. People around him can attest to this. Everybody can attest to Ryan Garcia being an asshole. Like legit. So that's what I'm saying. Like, again, like, let's not make this conversation about, I'm not saying you, because again, you do have a valid point. I'm just saying, like when these sorts of things happen, let's just finish holding this dude accountable first. You know what I mean? And then rather than kind of saying, well, what about Devin or what about Anthony Derell? Well, let's just say, WBC, let's just, keep it even keel in terms of holding fighters accountable and making sure that race isn't a factor, which it is. Shit, somebody like Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford will probably tell you that race is a factor in boxing.
That's exactly.
Especially being black. So
I agree with that 100%. Like that last point that you said, because I was just about to go ahead and say that boxing itself is built off, like most of the popular boxers in boxing, most of the fan base and just the fights in general are built off of racism. I'm not saying that to justify. Yeah, and I wouldn't say that to justify people being racist,
right.
But what I'm saying is the WBC, if you're going to hold these rules, if you're going to hold these regulations and use your authority to get rid of people, you have to keep the same energy with everyone. You can't just say, oh, Ryan Garcia, you said this, you said that, and we don't support any form of discrimination. So we're going to go ahead and take you out of the sport, or not allow you to go ahead and sanction fights with us anymore. It's like, okay, let's keep that same energy with everybody.
Well, but here's the thing, and Percy, you could agree, like what he said was wild, like because
definitely,
because the WBC, they're looking at it like, if we continue to work with this dude or associate ourselves with this dude, then how are people going to feel about us if we continue to work with a guy that was referring to black people as the N-word with the hard ER at the end?
Yeah, that's exactly
what you can't from a business standpoint and a moral standpoint, you have to understand why they're cutting ties with this guy. Because even like, let's say Jamal Charlo, like the WBC, they were trying to, and I don't know in what ways they do that behind the scenes, but from base of what they say, they've been trying to support him. They let him hold that belt for almost 3 years without a fight. And then when he got into that bad DUI, situation a few months ago, then that's when they stripped him. So it's like, we wanted to be there for you, but it gets to a point where enough is enough. But Ryan, on the other hand, it's like, there's no way we can associate ourselves with you anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not going to do that to a Devin Haney or Anthony Derell for just a remark like that, because yeah, it's racial, and yes, it's disrespectful, but it's nowhere near what this dude was doing. So if there are going to be consequences, if there are consequences to be dished out to a Devin Haney or Anthony Derell, that's going to be very minor, And then the thing is, that's the whole part of the sport. Like, you got to keep in mind is the disrespect and the back and forth, because believe it or not, that's what sells the fights.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
Yeah. So I think it would hurt the sport if you had sanctioning bodies all of a sudden policing fighters for saying, minor things like that. That's what I'm saying. So there is a fine line between, again, just, the disrespect, because like, all right, freaking Conor McGregor, he was saying racist shit, during the lead up, the build up to the Floyd fight. This nigga was like, and remember, this nigga was like, oh, Floyd Mayweather looked like a yeah, right. This nigga was like, Floyd Mayweather looked like a dancing monkey. What he said he looked like one of the quote unquote flying monkeys from the Rocky movie. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I don't remember there being any flying monkeys in the Rocky fucking movie, but he got away with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
he should. Like, he definitely should have been
punished talk about it, and that lends itself to what I was saying earlier. I'm like, people say shit to black people all the time, and no one ever says anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, so if really the WBC or whomever were to say something, people were supposed to say something to Conor McGregor. No one said anything to him. Nigga was like, I want you to dance with me. Dance with me, boy. That's what that nigga said. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, like he legit said that. And again, he might not have called him the N-word, but anybody with common sense will know that was a racial ass comment, practically racist.
That's a stereotype. Yep,
yeah. So You know what I mean? But in this case scenario, Ryan was just over the top because you see,
Yeah.
Conor McGregor, that was still kind of like, you know what I mean? Like a little bit like you have to kind of be privy to like racist shit that white people say to kind of pick up on that. If you're not privy, you're just going to take that for what it is. But Ryan, on the other hand, that's just like, yo, he just doesn't care. He just does not care anymore. And that's where the WBC is like, yo, okay, you clearly don't care at this point. So now we're going to walk away from you. That's it.
But you know what? I'll say this. I think Ryan cares, but I think he doesn't intentionally. Why? Because like I said, we don't, we live in an era now where if you give a homeless man, you take him McDonald's and you buy him a big old meal and you put on social media, you don't get that many clicks. But you make a racist tirade, now all of a sudden you're getting all types of people talking about you, people want to see you fight, so you get knocked out. And I think that what Ryan is doing, and I think we talked about this up into leading up to the Devin Haney fight. I do think there's something going on with him, but I also think he's doing this stuff on purpose because he sees the attention that other people are getting, and bam, like I said, that white TikTok girl, she went from I think like 4,000 TikTok followers to damn near almost 200 overnight because she made that N-word comment. So there's clearly something happening where people who make racist comments and jokes, yeah, they're getting pushback, but for some reason their social media is climbing, people are retweeting them, people are giving them attention, and that is leading to more opportunities. Like, I think this is a much bigger problem with our generation. I think, like for instance, there was the Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal fight coming up tomorrow, Saturday. There was this influencer dude, Neon, I think his name, asking ridiculous, stupid questions to someone like Nate Diaz. Oh, when you get knocked out, and just making stupid, comments. It's like, why are you even doing that? But people will get mad at him. But in my mind, I know who he is. He's just a kid trying to get clicks and views for his TikTok and his Twitter and all that stuff. Get people to watch his stuff. And this is the era that we living in. Any means necessary. How do I get people talking about me?
Yeah.
It's not helping somebody, who's having a rough day. It's starting controversy and making people talk about me. And,
right. But that just leads itself to what I was saying earlier. Like this is just a malicious attempt to gain attention because, and I'm just going to say something to Lavar again real quick. So it's a difference between me just saying, I'm not going to lose to you, white boy. And I'm talking to one guy, but me making a comment about a people, a certain type of human being. That's a big difference. See, Ryan Garcia insulted black people as a whole. And then took a picture with a black woman just to showcase her as only a sexual object. This man insulted the black woman.
Yeah, he was using that as an excuse.
Legit to try to validate. Oh well, I'm smashing a black girl. So that's racist as fuck. Because what were racist white people doing hundreds of years ago? They only saw black women as either as slaves or sexual objects. What did Ryan Garcia say the other day? Exactly.
Yeah, he was saying so.
Devin Haney and Anthony Derell did nothing of a sort. They didn't come anywhere close to something as racist, hateful, and disrespectful. There's literally no comparison. So Ryan, that's why I said, like, let's just call a spade a spade. Ryan Garcia is not going through anything but just some serious drug addiction because we know he'd be doing coke. You see his face twitching all the time and shit like that. Can't even keep himself in pocket. You know what I mean? Freaking, he's rich and famous. He's just a fucking asshole. He's literally Oscar De La Hoya Jr. because Oscar De La Hoya was doing the same shit before. That's his mini-me. So even though he was condemning him and all of that, he was still like, well, I'm going to still help him anyway because this is a mental health crisis. No, it's fucking nice. It's an asshole. And let's just collectively as a society just acknowledge that. We're just literally dealing and talking about a serial asshole, a serial racist. That's what I'm saying. Like that's ultimately the point that I wanted to tell you was that if I just say, you know what, let's say, oh, you can't, like, let's say I'm gonna get into a boxing match or a sparring match with an Asian guy, and I'm like, you ain't gonna whoop my ass, Jackie Chan. Am I being racist? Or is that just a racial comment because I'm calling him the name of, let's say, a famous Asian guy?
Nah, you gonna get slandered.
That personally, again, that's people. Okay, because the point I'm making is, yes, somebody could take that as disrespectful because not all Asian people fucking look alike. But if I were to say, oh, you know, all Asians are ugly or some shit, like that's a difference. So then you're going to obviously have people cut ties with you when you attack people as a whole. That's what I'm saying. Especially if that Jackie Chan comment is made at a press conference leading up to our fight or some shit like that. Because again, in combat sports, that's what people want to see. That's exactly what people want to see. Shit, I mean, if honestly, if that's the case, then if let's say me calling an Asian fighter that I'm about to fight Jackie Chan, then literally every word that Chris Tucker uttered in Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3 is racist as fuck. If that's the fucking case. If that's the case. Because he was saying shit like that the whole entire fucking movie. But again, all of that was in jest because again, he wasn't attacking, people. That's just entertainment. So it's like, and again, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be, offended if that's how if they're a white boy or anything like that. But Devin Haney saying, I ain't gonna lose to a white boy. Anthony I ain't gonna lose to a white boy. You can easily say that, yo, that's just entertainment. That's just what comes with press conferences and shit like that. But shit that Ryan Garcia said, that's a different fucking story. That's a different fucking story.
But you know what? I agree, but I also say two things. One, certain groups of people, no matter whether it's combat sports, whatever, even if it's just clever trash talk, you can't offend because once you do that, there's a lot of people behind the scenes who are Asian and stuff that will, make sure you don't see another paycheck. So there's that. But then two, I feel like nowadays, unless it's like super egregious behavior, it seems like racism is subjective, right? Because for some people, what Devin Haney said was a light joke. Some people might say that's the most egregious thing they ever heard. And some people, like I said with Ryan, there's people making excuses. There's some people saying, oh, he's just trolling. And there's other black people who supporting the dude. So that's the thing. It's like, okay, what he said to, for you, right, Dimitri, you say, that's egregious, like that's just a slap in the face, like this dude just wilding. But there's other people who are laughing like this dude trolling. He just looking for headlines. It's not that big of a deal, and that's the issue. It's like
people are idiots. they're idiots. Like
I agree, but I feel like nowadays it's public perception. Unless the public persecute you, people don't really care. Like I give it like another week. I guarantee a lot of people aren't going to be talking about him. Why? Because a lot of people, it's just they wait for the next thing to hate on, and a lot of people like Ryan. So, like with the whole Devin Haney situation, obviously it's clear that he failed his drug test, but there's people who are rallying against Devin Haney regardless. So it's like, at the end of the day, I feel like unless you're persecuted by the public or you're subject to cancel culture, you can move on by. And I think Ryan, no Diddy. I'm not even trying to, say this like in an admiration standpoint. But for a boxer, he's a good looking dude. No Diddy, like I said, no Diddy. And so there's a lot of people. He's going to get treated, with a different perception by people than a Devin Haney. Because Devin Haney looks like Corey Baxter's father from That's So Raven. And so I like Devin Haney, but he's not exactly Jason Momoa in the looks department. So I think that when you look a certain way and you have a fan base, people are more willing to forgive you, or if you have money. And it seems like when you have a platform like Ryan, you have millions of followers. You're making good paychecks. A lot of people view you as a very good looking dude. You're gonna get a lot of
second chances. But I mean, because Ryan Garcia is way more popular than Devin Haney. I mean, arguably, between the two of them, Devin, like, all right, like people probably know Devin Haney a lot more now because he fought Ryan Garcia. But Devin Haney is not nearly as well, not nearly, but he's not on the same casual, friendly level as Ryan Garcia. Like, I've had more people ask me about Ryan than Devin. I'm talking about just people that I know don't know shit about boxing from a fucking grain of salt. They're like, oh, what do you think about Ryan Garcia? And I'm like, you know, and I'm like, you're only asking me that because, you know, he's like a YouTuber, Jake Paul type of dude, you know? So, I mean, yeah. But the thing is, do I think that this is going to be the end of Ryan's career? No, as much as I would want it to. No, you know what I mean? Because again, he generates money. You know what I mean? It's like he puts, well, does he really put butts in the seats? I mean, that's another story. But again, like there's money behind, you know, a personality like Ryan Garcia. And I mean, again, before, like I said earlier, I'm like, yeah, I can admit fighters with a personality like him, they're good for boxing. And I said boxing benefits from guys like Ryan Garcia when he stays in pocket. Okay, but this is a guy that just doesn't know like when to quit. Like he doesn't know when to come out, sell a fight, and then when to go back in his dirty little fucking hole. Like he just doesn't know. And then he's just doing what he knows, which is being racist. Because again, I mean, it's no secret that, you know, that you know, his people, they have, you know, freaking prejudices and racist beliefs or attitudes towards black people. I mean, this is just a fact. You know, that ain't nothing new. You know what I mean? He's just doing what he knows. I'm like, you know what I mean? That's like dogs bark, cats meow, and then Ryan Garcia is fucking racist. That's just what it is. So I mean, it's not going to be the end. And again, like you said, you know, Percy, yeah, like he is just going to be afforded that, you know, second chance, third chance, fourth chance, just because of who he is and the money behind him. Because yeah, the WBC might not want to associate themselves with Ryan anymore, but you know, you have like, let's say DAZN or some shit that's still going to get behind him, and probably, you know, any other types of freaking promoters, and you know, maybe the WBA, the IBF, the WBO. So he still has lanes of opportunity to make money for himself, you know, when he's not banned anymore. Because I don't know if just because you're banned from the New York State Athletic Commission, like, but you can still fight in another state. You just can't fight in New York no more. I don't know if I don't know the specifics or not. Maybe Lavar, you can tell me, but
yeah, just to piggyback off of the point earlier, I definitely would say that like I've always agreed that there was a huge difference between the racism of Ryan Garcia and the remarks of Devin Haney and Anthony Derell. But my point was never really about the difference between the two. I acknowledge that. But my point was about the WBC being inconsistent. Now, they said that they don't support any discrimination, but they're allowing people to be discriminatory. That's my main point, and that's why I kind of think that because I remember earlier, I think you were saying something about like moral versus business. I think that the WBC is all business. I swear.
They're definitely all business, but they use morals to try to, you know, cover, you know, their business fucking interests.
I don't know. Well, yeah, to cover it, because I think for moral, like just morality in general, they're definitely inconsistent. Because if they're moral, then they would be holding everyone accountable to the same standard, but they clearly aren't. They're just going off of what's best for business, which I mean, it's not inherently a terrible thing, but they're trying to put on the front like they're doing this for moral reasons. Like we don't support any discrimination, but it's like you clearly do. Like boxing itself is literally built off of that, and I'm not, like I said before, I'm not saying that to justify people being racist, but it's like you know what your sport is, you know what these people do, and obviously Ryan Garcia is a different case, but at the same time you have to like at least just say differently what you're good about the rules that you're going to enforce. Say that if someone makes a racist remark or discriminatory remark in disproportionate levels or something like that, then we have to go ahead and ban you accordingly. But they just said any form of discrimination. So it's like, okay, any form of discrimination, Haney, Derell, and not even just to say black people. There's a lot of other races that can be racist. Any race can be racist, obviously.
Right.
So it just depends on who says it, who does it. And all I'm saying is the WBC needs to be consistent. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
right.
I'll just wrap it up and say this. I think that right now, like you said, Dimitri, I think what's best for business for them is to denounce Ryan. But we always know is tried and true in this country. Money is power. And they're gonna realize, okay, we suspended him indefinitely. We're not going to work with him, but they're going to realize at some point, there's not a lot of superstars in boxing outside of maybe 8, 7. I would say 7 names off the top if you ask casual boxing fans or people who don't really watch the sport. Who's Ryan Garcia? Who's Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury? I think that eventually they'll let him back in because they know that, oh, we want to make money too. So I like Devin Haney, but like you said, I didn't really know about Devin Haney until him and Ryan Garcia started getting promoted to fight. So I think at the end of the day, this is, this sport, like you said, Lavar, I think these sports have, they're built on a lot of prejudice and racism and stuff, they like to cover it up and make it, look all pretty, but we all know what's under that ring and under that canvas. And I think that at the end of the day, business is business. And right now, it seems like a good business move to denounce him. But, they'll bring him back because, like I said, at the end of the day, when you have money and influence and you're a big name in your sport, they're going to want that money. You think if LeBron did something crazy tomorrow, you think the Lakers want to just drop him? Yeah, they might denounce him, but they'll bring him back because at the end of the day, they don't want LeBron. So, again, I'm not comparing.
Yeah. It's about money. It's about money. I mean, yeah. The main reason why the WBC never stripped Jamal over the last few years is because he's the only real 160 pounder with a name that they can market. Like he's like, because who fights at 160 right now that the average person knows of? No one.
Nobody.
So to try to keep it interesting, they were like, all right, we're gonna let him hold the belt because we know that when he comes back, it's going to get people talking again. They even let him fight at 164, or he came in at like 163, 164 pounds, and they still let him hold the belt, even though he missed weight. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean? Because I think that fight was supposed to be at 160, and they didn't even fight for the belt. They didn't even fight for the belt, and he missed weight. So,
yeah. But when you're famous, you got money. The rules don't apply, and this is why. Right. And I say this because at the end of the day, whether we thought what his racist tirade was racist, a troll job, or whatever, again, he's famous, he's rich in sport, and there's gonna always be people who want to work with him. And I'll say this too, real quick. I know this, like y'all probably don't know Sean Strickland, but he's in the UFC, and he goes on. You probably heard of some of the tirades and the cancel, the headlines about him, not because he's a character, but he actually believes the things he say. He's not out here just trolling. Like this dude just says whatever he wants. And I'm sure the UFC don't like his comments, but they don't denounce him. They don't, set him up to fail. Because at the end of the day, they know what the sport is. You're gonna have people who had, prison sentences. You have people who's racist. You're gonna have people who beat up women. You're gonna have people, who beat up their husbands. So at the end of the day, they know that what sells is is this type of stuff. And there's always been a saying in the entertainment industry: any publicity is good publicity. So right now, Ryan might be getting talked in a negative way, but it's helping him. You know why? Because at the end of the day, even if they didn't denounce him, people are going to tune in to see him get knocked out, which means he's getting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Are you really getting canceled, or you just adding another layer to the paycheck?
Well, it's like Adrian Broner. Like, because Ryan Garcia is like a Latino Adrian Broner, except he wins sometimes. That's pretty much it. Because Adrian Broner is always going to get another opportunity no matter how much he loses because of his personality, because he'll put butts in the seats, because he'll get people watching. And Ryan Garcia is just a 10 times more popular version of that.
Oh, and to that point too, I'll say this too. Like Ryan, because Adrian Broner is pushing 40, if I'm not mistaken, at this point. Ryan Garcia is 25. His fan base is not, he's targeting younger fans. They don't care about all of this stuff like the same way 35 would. So at the end of the day, for him, you go on his Instagram, you see him doing his speed bag work and his quick hands, and a lot of these young kids, young girls and stuff watching him train and stuff. they wild and bedazzled by him. So a little racist tirade on Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, I should say, it's not going to stop them.
Well, it's not. You know why? Because the majority of Ryan Garcia's fans are not even black. You know what I mean? So what is it going to bother them? you know, a bunch of, you know, white guys and Latino guys and otherwise, you know, other, you know what I mean, like miscellaneous races of people and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the lesser percentage of Ryan Garcia's fans that are black is 10% or less. 10% or less. Because, right, Lavar, that's a fact. Black people are more so fans of the Terrence Crawfords, the Errol Spencers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we check for those guys. Black people are not checking, you know, for Ryan Garcia like that. Or Tanks, Floyd, you know. Black people, we respect David Benavidez more than Ryan Garcia. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not actually checking for Ryan Garcia. So, yes, yeah, he is going to maintain his fan base. Why? Because his fan base is not going to, the majority of his fan base, the majority of his fan base are not going to get offended by what he said because they're not black. What do they have to be offended for? They'll probably be, I mean, there might be some good people out there. They'll be like, yeah, yo, that was fucked up. You shouldn't have said that. But are they going to stop being his fan? No. A lot of them will probably find it funny. Probably always trolling and all that shit. Yeah, so yeah, like, yeah, I do agree with you. Yeah, like his career is not at risk at all. Because again, Ryan Garcia is not a guy that caters to black people because he's not black. So why would he do that anyway? Black people, we respect Caleb Plant, who is white, more than Ryan Garcia. So
true.
So that's what I'm saying. Like Logan Paul. If Logan Paul does something racist or Jake Paul does something racist tomorrow, is he really at risk of losing his fans? No. Because 90% of his fans are white. The other 5% Latinos, or let's say 80% white, 15% Latino plus whatever, and then like less than that, black. If not 1 to 2%. Black people don't really rock with Logan Paul either. Or Jake Paul, same shit. Y'all get the point.
Now that you mentioned Logan Paul, do y'all remember about that incident he had in Japan?
Yeah, where he went and did a video at a graveyard or some shit like that.
Got canceled bad. He had kids crying. Look at him now. He still got a career.
Well, I mean, hey, Tank Davis got busted for domestic violence a couple times, didn't he? People don't talk about that now. Like I said, so people pick and choose. You know, I wouldn't even say people. I would say, you know, the sanctioning bodies, the media, they're going to pick and choose who to really hold accountable or not based off of how much interest and money this person can generate. Because I'll go back to Jonathan Majors. Yeah, Jonathan Majors was a rising star, but like, you know, you used to say, Percy, he's not a Will Smith. So they're not going to be quick to give him a second chance because there's not a whole lot of money behind Jonathan Majors. And again, the movies that he did do by himself outside of Creed and Ant-Man, like Devotion and all of that, that movie flopped. So that just goes to show he's not like a bankable box office star. But let's say somebody like Will Smith is. So yes, media is going to be more inclined, or let's say film companies, you know, the Sonys and the, you know, the Warner Brothers and the Disneys, they're going to be more inclined to want to forgive somebody who's going to help them make money. That's going to help them be successful. If you're not that, they're not going to want to rock with you when you fuck up. But somebody like Tank, again, arguably, like I said, he's the face of boxing. It's not Terrence Crawford, even though pound for pound, Terrence Crawford to me is, again, the better fighter. You know, the more established, you know, legacy fighter. But again, the average person still don't know who Terrence Crawford is. If I walk down the street and I said, hey, do you know Terrence Crawford? They're probably going to tell you no. But if I said, hey, you know, do you know that guy Tank? That boxer Tank? The niggas are going to say, yeah. So, you know what I mean? So Tank can go to a basketball game, grab up his girlfriend, you know, choke her up and do all of that shit. And then, you know, get a major fight, you know, next year. Or you know what I mean? People are still going to rock with him because, again, he puts butts in the seats. Because I don't see so many celebrities coming out to other fighters' fights the way they do Tank fights. You see everybody at his shits. Everybody comes out in droves to his shit. I mean, even though people say that, you know, his last fight didn't do well pay-per-view wise, but I feel like maybe that had more so to do with Frank Martin because people don't know who Frank Martin is. People don't know who Frank Martin is. But I'm pretty sure the pay-per-view numbers did double that against Ryan. And I'm pretty sure if Ryan wanted to like, let's say if Ryan Garcia really got canceled, him and Tank are cool right now. Let's say if Tank wanted to do him a solid and say, you know what, I'll whip your ass again just so I can give you another payday. People will watch it again because they're going to sell the fight.
Yep.
WBC don't have to be a part of that. Because really the IBF and the rest of them, they're going to be like, oh, hey, all right, hey, we'll do the purse bid. You know, hey, the zone will pop back in. They do exhibitions all the time. They do that shit all the time. Sanctioning bodies have nothing to do with Jake Paul, KSI, all them guys fighting. and people watch those.
Yeah.
So eventually, like, and honestly, like, and I guess maybe this might be a slight credit to Ryan and Tank in a sense that they're going to make it so that way belts and sanctioning bodies aren't even going to really be a factor anymore. And Lavar, you already know people have been complaining anyway about the amount of different belts that are around. And now you have these fighters that are becoming more successful, getting way more money, you know, and more attention without having to be champion. So look at Terrence Crawford. He was undisputed. All right, yeah, okay. There was a time where people talked about like the Errol Spence fight, but that had more so to do with Errol Spence. Errol Spence was supposed to be the guy. Terrence Crawford won, but people don't talk about him the way that they talked about Deontay Wilder, Tank, Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? Ryan Garcia and all of them. They don't. So yeah, like eventually, so this shit that is going on with Ryan is going to continue. He did it now. He's going to do it again. He's gonna say some racist shit again. He's gonna do something stupid again. And like we can all agree, he's going to get another, you know, big top tier fight at some point if that can be made. You know, so let's say after, you know, Tank beats Lomachenko, you know, at some point, or after that fight happens.
Oh, no.
Well, that's another conversation. But let's say if he does, Ryan, because you know that, like, fighters with a name, once you have a name, you could always make another fight. You could always make another fight. There's always another matchup to be made. Ryan could decide to fight Shakur. That's going to be talked about. Ryan can decide to fight Lomachenko. That's going to be talked about. He could rematch Devin Haney again. Without, I mean, I don't think Devin Haney is going to want to take that fight, nor is he going to want to do it without WBC. But I'm saying, like, just to Percy's point, that because of who he is, there's always going to be opportunity, you know, for him. And that's the fucked up part about media is that, again, like, cancel culture isn't even like genuine, because again, they pick and choose who to cancel. They pick and choose. You can't be choosy. So, you know, and that's my thoughts on that, man.
The funny thing about cancel culture is that there's this one dude from do y'all know who BTS is, like the little K-pop group?
Yeah.
There's this one dude in there. I think his name is V or something like that. It was either him or another dude in there. He got into like a car crash. And so we already know how like K-pop, they have like a lot of stans, a lot of fangirls for BTS and all this. So instead of going ahead and holding and I wouldn't even say hold the dude accountable, but I think he was like, he had like a level of alcohol in him that wasn't legal or something like that. But instead of the fangirls holding him accountable on Twitter, they tried to mask the incident up. So that's how bad cancel culture can get. They tried to mask it up by going ahead and tweeting other things about him, like putting his name and then putting like different things like this person doing something good, doing something like that. I'm like, that's fine and all, but if you masking up something bad that someone did, like, think about if Ryan Garcia fans just start tweeting everything good that Ryan Garcia did to try and mask the situation of what he just said. I find that kind of disgusting and corny. And like, if that culture continues to go on, I just don't know with social media nowadays.
Yeah, shit, that society is going to get worse. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.